Okay, so we have our no solution, one solution, and now we're going to look at two solutions. So, I'll leave that up for a few more seconds. All right. So for our law of sines with two solutions, think about triangle here. Say this is angle A, B, and C. This is side B, this is side A, and this is your height. Okay. Now side A can be either over here, and you get the same angle A, or let's say if side A, from A, and let's see if I can write this without being too confusing. Well, actually, let's say you can have side A can be here, or side A, that should have been a straight line, can be here. And I'll actually just break it down to two separate triangles. Okay, so if you notice here, side A doesn't change. We have side B, this is side A, this is angle B. And all we did was get this one triangle and break it down to two separate possibilities. So we have our same angle A, our side A, our B, and C. And this is our height, B. And this is our height. Okay. So if you were solving for angle A, either one of these would give you the same angle. That means angle A, the side A, can be either over here or over here. And the angle A would be the exact same. So in this case, you'd actually have two solutions for all three triangles. Oh, forgot my side C and angle C. Okay. So your angle C can be completely different from this angle C, and angle A will be the same. Your side C can be a whole lot shorter than this side C, but your angle A will be the same. Okay. So you'll know whether or not you have two solutions if your height, so let me put that underneath it so it's not all crammed in there. If your height is less than angle A, and angle A is less than angle B. Okay, where your height is equal to B sine of A. Okay, now if you have two solutions, usually mark this as B1 and B2 and C1 and C2. Since it's no longer just A, B, and C, so if you notice on this one, your height, which is just a straight line, is shorter than your A. And they're both shorter than your B. Even on this one, your height is shorter than A, and they're both shorter than B. Okay, so we're going to do one of each to kind of show you how you would solve each one. All right, anyone still writing? All right, leave that up for a few more seconds. All right. So let's say, for example, okay, so if you have, this is just a one solution case. Which is a side-side angle. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean by that. When you have two sides in an angle, kind of separate that. So let's say we want to find the remaining side. And angles for the triangle okay, let's say angle A is 42 degrees. Angle B, we have no idea. Angle C, we don't know. Side B is 12, and side A is 22. And side C, we don't know. Okay. So here we can see that, oh, forgot to put my solution. A is greater than or equal to B, so it's only one solution. Okay. And again, if your A, B, and C are switched up, then if this is your A, then you'd have to kind of accommodate for that one. That's why normally I put mine as ABC, just so you don't have to keep switching up depending on where your missing angle is. Okay. So we can actually use the law of sines. Okay, so let's say we have sine of B over B equals sine of A over A. Okay, so sine of B, we don't know what that angle is, so we just leave it as sine of B over side B is 12 equals sine of A, which is 42 degrees, over side A, which is 22. Okay, so if we go ahead and do our cross multiplying, we'll end up with sine of B is equal to 12 times sine of 42 degrees divided by 22. Okay. Which means that sine of B will equal 0.36. Oh, clean that up a little bit. 498. Okay. Now that still doesn't tell us our angle. It just tells us what sine of B is. So this is where we have to apply sine inverse to both sides. Okay, so we end up with B is equal to sine inverse of 0.36498. Okay, now remember here, you're not solving for the angle, so you're not going to have it in degrees. This is the tricky part. Now, if you were actually looking for or plugging in B itself, then that would be different. So this would actually equal 21.41 degrees. . No, actually, you would put it in degrees for this one. Sorry about that. Kind of depends on your calculator, but most calculators you will put it in degrees for this one. All right. Any questions on this so far? All right. Okay. Okay, so we solve for angle B. Okay, so that one's out the way. So for angle C, we really don't have to use the law of sines again because we know two of the angles. So we just have to subtract them from 180 and we can solve for C. So angle C equals 180 degrees minus 42 degrees minus 21.41 degrees. Okay, so we know that angle C will equal 116.59 degrees. Okay, so whenever you know two of the angles, you can always find the third one. Okay, so angle C is all done. We just have to find side C. And again, just use law of sines. So sine of C over C equals sine of angle A over A. Okay, so we just plug everything in. Angle C, we know that's 116.59. Over side C is unknown, so we leave that as it is. Equals sine of A. You know A is 42 degrees. So sine of 42 divided by side A, which is 22. Okay. And then we just cross multiply. Okay, so C is equal to 22 times sine of 116.59 degrees divided by sine of 42 degrees. Oops, straighten that up. Okay, so once you plug all that into your calculator, C equals, well, it'll be rounded, 29.4. Oh, not really measured yet, so we'll just leave that as 29.4. All right, so any questions on that one? All right, and remember, you know you only needed one solution because A is greater than or equal to B. All right, so let's see the no solution case. And that's when we're given a side, another side, and an angle. Okay, so when you have two angles and a side, you can still have no solution. Okay, so let's say we want to find the remaining sides and angles for the triangle. A equals 15, B equals 25, and angle A is equal to 85 degrees. Okay, so let's say instead of drawing our triangle, we decide to just jump right in and use law of sines. Okay, so you have sine of b over lowercase b equals sine of a over lowercase a. Okay, so that's sine of b, which is unknown, over side b, which is 25, is equal to sine of a, so that's sine of 85 degrees, over side a, which is 15. Okay, so we go ahead and do our cross multiplication. Okay, so we have sine of b is equal to 25 times sine of 85 degrees divided by 15. Okay. So if you plug that into your calculator, you will end up with sine of b, well, round it because it's kind of a decimal, 1.6603. Okay, which is a dead giveaway that that's not possible. Because you remember, sine and cosine oscillates between -1 and 1. So if it's any value of sine bigger than 1, there's no solution. Okay, so since we know that -1 and sine of b, it's only values between -1 and 1. So you know sine of b can't equal 1.6603. So in this case, there's no solution. Now the thing is, you want to make sure it's set to degrees. So if you plug in 85 degrees, because if you plug in 85 radians, you'll get values that's bigger than 1, and it would be incorrect. So you want to make sure it's set to degrees. Okay. Now if you were looking at this as a graph, if you had angle A, let's say angle A is 85 degrees. Let's say side B is 25. Okay, so in this case, A would be 15. And this is your height. Okay, so we know if we figure it out that our height is equal to B sine of A. Okay, remember that's opposite over hypotenuse, and then we just solve for h. Okay, so that means our height is equal to 25 times sine of 85 degrees. Okay, so our height is actually equal to 24.9. Okay, so we know that A is less than our height because 15 is less than 24.9. Okay, so you actually could have figured it out before doing that, but a lot of times you don't really think to check for it. But that's just one way to double check. All right, so any questions on that one? All right. And just another, make sure your calculator is set to degrees. All right. So now, let's do one of the two solution case. when you have two sides and an angle. Okay, so let's say, for example, find the solution for the triangle where A is equal to 12 meters. Say side B is equal to 31 meters. And let's say angle A is equal to 20.5 degrees. Okay, so a lot of times what you might want to try doing is solving for H first. Because if you notice, if you have H is equal to B times sine of A, that's equal to 31 times sine of 20.5 degrees. Okay, so that means that H is equal to about 10.86 meters. Okay, so if H is less than A is less than B, and that means 10.86 is less than 12 is less than 31. Okay, so that means you have two solutions. Okay, so that means you can solve for angle A, and angle A will be the same in both triangles, but angles B and C will be completely different. Okay, so kind of starting out there, we'll start with our law of sines. So let's say sine of B over B equals sine of A over A.